Fox News contributor Rob O'Neill, former Navy SEAL guy, vocal Twitter conservative, he seems to just kind of want to be in the Taliban. Like, pull up this tweet, Bradley, of his the other day, if you could. This guy's a real psycho, as you're about to see in this Fox News appearance, but you'll get a little appetizer here. Did you see how the Taliban rolled through the streets and took back their country? I know a few dudes who would do the same with me right now. Oh, bro, sick brag, bro.
Oh, Taliban envy is so funny.
I know, right? Maybe that says something a little bit about you. Like, these conservatives like this, they strike this tricky balance of wanting to be like the Taliban while also hating all Muslims. So if only we had just like a white Taliban.
This is the truth of sort of war hawks in general, is like the right and reactionary, like military sort of parts of every country are symbiotic, even though they say they hate each other. Like the hawks in Iran and the hawks here, they're
taking notes.
They're gifts to each other.
Yeah. So
if not, collaborating.
Right. And so if nothing is more of an indication of that very dynamic and how the militaristic right wing and the fantasies that they share, it's transnational, than this unhinged appearance by that very man on Fox News the other day.
I don't want to be in charge, but if I was, I want to get the Americans? Cool. Give me 9 guys. I'm going to walk through the streets, and I'm going to kill everyone I see, and I'm going to grab the Americans. It is not difficult. But we have these people who are in charge that are a disgrace. I'm amazed that there hasn't been at least 30 generals and admirals that haven't resigned or been fired today. But we won't, because we have a commander-in-chief that was put there through whatever happened at 4 in the morning on election night. This is not...
Whatever happened at 4 in the morning on election night. Like, the just bloodlust and the complete fantasy. Part of this is just like downstream from this nationalist desire to like be a G.I. Joe. That's kind of what it is. They're children cosplaying, and I understand he's been in war, but like they have these fantasies of going in there and killing everybody and being the hero and being Mr. America. And it's just like, oh no, what you want to do is just war crimes, man. You just want to slaughter people. You want to be a mass murderer, and society has accepted that you can say this kind of stuff on television because these people aren't on the same exact national team. They don't wear the red, white, and blue.
I'm trying to find a quote from George Armstrong Custer before, obviously, he was killed, but by the Sioux. That where he's like, with just like one cavalry regiment, we can basically whip the entire native population of the Great Plains. And we saw like how actually, and also another guy who had been in wars, just a delusional, bloodthirsty freak. And I think it's really kind of gross. Well, it's obviously very gross, but it's to see the way Fox News is sort of, because this is a right-wing organizing moment. Catherine Ballou, I believe, is the historian who talks about Vietnam and the withdrawal from Vietnam, and the years after that is a big moment for the right. And I worry we're at this too, with like vets coming home, and a certain percentage of those will be right-wing and thinking that they've been stabbed in the back by politicians, basically. And you're already seeing that from Jim Scudo saying,
think about our vets. Was this all for nothing?
Or like, so often I've seen the military given tasks by politicians who didn't have like the fortitude to like see them do the job or whatever like that. Like, this is extremely dangerous rhetoric.
We talked about this on the show on Friday, I think. Just why do we have, and this is a bit of a sidebar, but why do we have this class of journalists that fetishizes the military and kind of is drawn to the authoritarian hero nature of it, and believes that the scruples of politicians, the ones elected by the people, are what gets in the way of the real display of American might as done by the military. And they talk, he talks about the Taliban there in his tweet, or at least, and it reminds me that there's a lot in common, maybe not in proportionality, but the American right, they also want to limit the rights of women to control their own body. They also want to control the flow of information, at least sections of the right. They also want to live in a society that's homogeneous in terms of the religion that's expressed publicly. It's a trite thing from the American left to say, oh, the GOP is the Taliban of the United States. But the larger point is that right-wing movements share principles and share tendencies. And O'Neill displayed that so grossly there.
Right. I mean, yeah, the right wing is the fundamentalist religion, I guess is really what it is. Fundamentalist religion plus guys with guns.
Yeah.
Can I put up a really gross Jim Sciutto tweet for you guys?
Yes. I just saw you sent that. Put it up.
So he says, hanging on my office wall, Al-Qaeda fighters imprisoned in northern Afghanistan after the U.S. invasion. One of them smiled as he told me he'd kill Americans. Disturbing to see these prisons now emptied. Oh,
yes. He'd rather just warehouse them. Maybe Jim Sciutto could kind of have some introspection potentially. Why do maybe people in Afghanistan hate the United States, Al-Qaeda fighters, right? We all know, by the way, that who were deemed to be Al-Qaeda fighters was quite loose. There ever any introspection about why there is a whole section of the world that largely hates America, maybe because we slaughter them at will and drop bombs on their weddings? Like, I don't know. It's just kind of how there's the entire Republican Party, and there are a lot of people in this country that hate Muslims in general because of 9/11, except we've done that on a systemic colonial scale for decades and decades and decades, not acts of terror that were more sporadic. Joanna, just curious, you tightly called, rightly I think this means, called the government in India as Hindu nationalists and many in the right wing in USA as white nationalists, but you have not even once called Taliban as Islamic or Muslim fundamentalists. You just call them extremists. Why not identify them better? Thank you, Tulsi Gabbard, for writing in. I mean, I don't know. Like, sure, they are Muslim fundamentalists. I don't know what that does. Yeah,
I think that's fairly obvious from any understanding of the Taliban is the degree of Muslim fundamentalism is there. I would think, I mean, this goes back to the call about, let's make this all about religion. I mean, the problem isn't necessarily Islam. It's that country's been torn apart and has been the only people empowered in it have been warlords for like almost half a century. Yeah. I mean, the Taliban is like a religious fundamentalist at this point, guerrilla army that's trying to take back the government. That's, I guess, a more... And we'll see, how well they're able to govern as that fundamentalist religious government. I think, from my understanding, which is not expert by any means, but there are certain regions where that's going to be harder for them to do than others. I didn't mean to be rude there. I appreciate the I am. I just, there was no any conscious choice made in that area. It's just like, I think more... We're trying to focus on the larger power dynamics here. I mean, the Taliban is not Modi. Like, there's a very different sort of... Modi is empowered by the BJP and is the ruler of a nation of billions of people. He has a lot more power. Yeah, I mean, it's simple. Yeah.
Another trope I hate, radical Islam.
Right. Well, that's why I meant that said that Tulsi thing. That's like how she got her start, which I did like an interview back with her when I first started out, and I was like less... I was really starting out, didn't fully understand how she got her rise. I regret not kind of asking her about that stuff. This is before her grift was more obvious to people. But that's how she got her start in terms of like cozying up to conservatives during the Obama years. Why isn't Obama saying radical Islam? Yeah, why isn't Obama saying radical Islam and going to Friends of Israel meetings? Exactly. Josh from Tucson, how are those cashews? Unfortunately, I'm out of cashews, so if I get cranky towards the end of the show, you'll understand why.
Folks, there's more of what you've just saw where that came from. That's if you hit the subscribe and like button. Thank you. Really, thank you.